Reunion. Oh, hello there. I'm just here at my shrine to Final Fantasy VII, partaking in my state-mandated prayer. Do 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 do. 7 times a day, every day. Now then, you might remember that Final Fantasy VII Remake came out during those dark days of 2020. It covered the opening of the Final Fantasy VII story, set in Midgar, a bleak and dreary place where people have long forgotten what the sky looks like. So trapped are they within this terrible nightmare. Wait, I am hearing now that that was just 2020. It was a pretty faithful remake of that original experience of the great urban pizza. Also, there were some ghosts at the end, and some people weren't very happy with that. That's fine, we're out of the terrible shadow of that sunless sky and are allowed out into the wild.
I miss it. The steel sky.
Okay, Aerith may not be happy about it, but Cloud and co are back in a new globe-trotting journey. We start with one of the most famous scenes in gaming history. Oh, no, not that one. I'm talking about the other one, the Nibelheim incident. During this opening segment, Cloud tells us of his complicated past with the mysterious soldier Sephiroth. In the original, this was the first proper look you got of the man, beyond all the blood and death that preceded him. But here we're well acquainted with him by now.
I'm waiting, Cloud.
You get an idea as to just how overwhelmingly powerful he is as you face off against various monsters and creatures on your way through Cloud's hometown of Nibelheim. You can't stop at your hometown without checking out your old haunts, like Tifa's bedroom.
You went into my room?
I did.
Wow. Where'd you learn to do that?
Hey, you gotta play for us sometime.
It really tickles me. The idea that while Cloud is talking about how genuinely terrible Sephiroth is, he pauses to let everyone know he broke out an incredible piano solo. But we're not here to look at Cloud's unexpected ability to twinkle the ivories. We're here to look at a reactor up a mountain, which is also where this little story takes a bit of a turn. Sephiroth, who up until now has been a pretty upstanding guy, he's just so cool, so dreamy, so impressive. His hair, his long sword, fish fear him and women want to be him. Anyway, he takes a bit of a turn, and by takes a bit of a turn, I mean, well... Oh god, everyone's dying and on fire? Jesus, there's just so much screaming, death, destruction, mayhem, endless suffering. Ah! Cloud pursues Sephiroth up the mountain where he finds that Tifa's almost dead, and oh my god, just everything's gone wrong.
I believed in you. No. Not you! Whoever the hell you are!
So, yeah. With all that disaster and destruction and pain and suffering, Cloud has set out to follow the mysterious robed figures in the pursuit of his eternal foe, to finally put a stop to whatever evil plot he has planned. Wait, is that a card game?
Let's play!
It wouldn't be a Final Fantasy game from the 90s without a card game. This obviously wasn't in the original Final Fantasy VII. Card games were sadly limited to 8 and 9, but get your mouth harps ready because Queen's Blood rapidly became my obsession. Queen's Blood is a card game that involves getting a higher point total in a lane than your opponent, while also getting the highest total points of your one lanes. You place cards that have numerical values and buff and destroy other cards to achieve big numbers. Only the winner of a lane gets their points added to their total. You could dump everything you've got into one lane, but if you lose by 1 point, it doesn't matter if you win the other two, if their totals don't add up to a higher value than that one singular lane. But so far, so spicy Marvel Snap. However, all of this is combined with an area control element that just gets the old 2 brain cells sizzling. You can only place cards on spaces you control, and those are turned in your favour by the placement of your other cards. Each card affects a certain arrangement of spaces, so you're trying to fill in the grid as much as possible, while also trying to make sure your possible spaces aren't stolen by the other player. Plus, you can level spaces up to play more powerful cards as well. So there is this constant battle between making ground to have more spaces to play cards on, the threat of your own spaces being taken away before you can even use them, and also trying to actually place things for some kind of high score. It is honestly thrilling. I took to Queen's Blood with an almost otherworldly fervour, as if possessed by the spirit of some great and evil queen, running around towns challenging everyone who could muster the courage to a duel. I felt alive. There's almost an electric thrill that shoots through your spine whenever you'd enter a new town or location, and the small pop-up on the side lets you know there are new, hot, single Queen's Blood players in your area. Sure, you're meant to be chasing down Sephiroth, but there are card games to play? Do you know how hard it is to try and arrange a board game social in this day and age? You have to go out and find them. And sometimes they are a literal chocobo.
Can you play with Oscar, please?
The people you play against aren't just faceless NPCs, but often quirky and silly characters, filled with life, only to promptly have it destroyed when you summarily defeat them and send them to the Shadow Realm. Probably. There's this underlining mystery that pulls you through your Queen's Blood career. You are given visions of the creator being driven mad by his creation as the game goes full Yu-Gi-Oh! With the lines of card game and reality begin to blur, and you're struggling for your very own soul. Unlike in Yu-Gi-Oh! Though, you can just bring a gun to a card fight, and it works surprisingly well.
Game over!
But Queen's Blood is just astounding. Whether you're working through puzzles or engaging in a grand contest across the sea. It is something that will keep tugging you in its direction, keep pulling you to go deeper down that rabbit hole as it consumes your life. Doing something else. Anyway, now that we're no longer confined to the dark city of Midgar, we're out into the open world, and this is something that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth does really well. Oh god, this map just keeps going. Oh god, it's so large, it just keeps zooming out. Stop! Rebirth's take on the sudden thrust into an open world of the original game is quite good. The game turns this into, well, this. A large and expansive field waiting for you to explore. The important thing is that you're also instantly pulled to landmarks across the horizon. the sense of natural exploration and your own inherent sense of curiosity working to pull you through this landscape. Oh, well, I guess there's nothing going on here then. That's fine, because there's plenty of other places to find.
If only there was some way to get it moving again.
Oh, I guess this also isn't anything. Okay then.
Hey, crowd!
Wait, oh no, what's this small boy in high socks and shorts doing here? No, go away. Get away from that tower. Shoot! Chadley, no, go away! What are you doing?
Tower activation confirmed.
Yes, unfortunately, that natural sense of exploration is somewhat Yes, unfortunately, that natural sense of exploration is somewhat stripped away as you're given communication towers to reveal the surrounding areas, as well as any point of interest worth exploring. No. It is unfortunate, as the game has many systems in place to guide you towards these interesting things, be it owls hooting and hollering, or glowing rocks that guide you. Heck, even baby chocobos are there to take you to a nearby rest stop. But instead, that sense of exploration and looking out at the horizon is gone, replaced by constantly opening the map every few steps to make sure you're going the right way. These activities aren't actually awful. They're relatively engaging puzzles or bits of exploration that take you around the land, often in the name of unlocking powerful and useful materia, or more combat trials through Chadley's simulator, which also gets you more materia. Yuffie would be thrilled.
Just gonna stand there? Let's get going!
Getting around each area is still interesting enough, as each map has its own theme and unique idea to it. So sure, you can run around large fields or engage in the obligatory climbing that's in every game now. Which also isn't the most realistic style of climbing. I mean, I have some idea. Yes, this is just another shameless climbing flex. But in the next, you'll be scaling vertical walls on your chocobo, quickly putting me to shame. Zooming about in your buggy across stretches of wetland, or leaping across the map on chocobo back as you bounce on giant mushrooms. There are all sorts of mysteries and stories for you to unfurl on each map, and there's just this inherent sense of fun. Wait, is that more Fort Condor? This is one of the many examples of fun and weird bits throughout the game that make you want to explore the land and the world. It's just filled with character and gives you a chance to just have fun with the gang. There are plenty of side quests as well in this land, and well, recent Final Fantasy games have had complicated histories with side quests, to put it politely.
I found him with his nose buried in my nuts.
Oh no, not again! Thankfully, the side quests in Rebirth are not overly numerous, and more importantly, are quite fun and silly. They are normally focused around spending time with your fellow party members, all for the sake of getting to know them better. Whether you're escorting a dog through the wastes of the Junon area, or artfully harvesting mushrooms from the land of Gongaga, you've got a lot to do, and your fellow party members are invested in every step of the way. Instead of just being regional stories that amount to nothing due to their own terrible, boring NPCs, you are given quirky NPCs doing odd things that allow someone to get involved and express a part of themselves.
If you really don't want it, I'll take it off your hands. But as a parent, I'm sure you want to give your kid the best life you can.
There's a much greater focus on the characters of the supporting cast that keep you coming back to them. Sure, there are blasts from the past as characters you met previously make their return, but first and foremost, these are all about increasing your bond with your party members. Even if the quest does involve hunting down a lost playing card, you still get a nice moment with Tifa, thinking about her bar in Midgar.
You're that seventh heaven bartender!
Not today, but someday soon.
There's just a lot to do and get lost in, and you'll find yourself quite eagerly dashing through the world, exploring everything you can muster, hanging with all the Johnnies, exploring the desert for cactuar statues, and just so many things to get involved in.
Something more important.
While helping out the general populace is great and all, we all know that the best way to strengthen the bonds of friendship is through sweat.
Don't you ever get sore?
That's not what I meant. The combat of Final Fantasy VII Remake is back, and just as good as it was last time. The turn-based system of the past is gone, and instead you take direct control of one party member as you swing your sword, shoot your gun, or hit with fist. Doing so builds up your ATB gauge, which allows you to release a variety of moves or spells for great effect. It's intense and engaging, and at the same time, secretly a bit tactical. Enemies have weaknesses or specific means to get them pressured, which lets you build up this orange bar quicker, allowing you to stagger them and then unleash hell as your attacks do more damage. This keeps things mostly fresh as you change up your plans between different enemy types and try to exploit whatever weaknesses you can. Now, last time I said that you're compelled to swap between your characters mid-fight, achieving this sort of mastery as you spin between everyone, building up their gauges and whatnot. But others felt like that wasn't exactly happening, because they just felt like they could let their AI companions do whatever and let Cloud take the main focus. Rebirth, however, introduces something to really get your combat juices flowing, and prompts you to fully jump between members actively in combat, and that's the synergy system. As you use ATB to pull off abilities and spell, your synergy meter will fill up. If two characters build up enough of this, you can then unleash a special attack that feels like a mini limit break between those two characters. These all come with a variety of benefits as well, such as briefly giving you unlimited MP, or giving you access to stronger limit breaks. The thing is, you need both characters to fill up their synergy bars, and this only happens when that character uses abilities. While your characters will punch away at the enemy when you're not controlling them, their ATB gauge fills much quicker when you've assumed direct control. So you'll be bouncing between people to get their bars up to get these big attacks off, and you can slowly get a rhythm and sense of mastery in place. You've got Cloud doing a big attack move with a long animation. Great, swap over to Tifa to start getting her to build up her ATB gauge to get off some quick attacks. Then swing over to Aerith while those two are pulling off their combo move to also get her going. If you play your cards right, you can begin to be active all the time. Downtime falls to the wayside as you dart between each character and make the most of their abilities, and it's such a good system. Just honestly, top notch. Now then, I know, what about the story? We're getting there.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have to set the stage. First, the music!
The music in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is incredible. I know, what an exceptionally hot take. Did you know that Final Fantasy has good music? Wow, what is this? The average take that'll get you like this Twitter thread? Final Fantasy VII, the original, already had exceptional music, a gold standard for a generation. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth builds on this, and also adds a whole variety of extra songs.
Hey, yo, nobody wanna hear your shit, old man. Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
There must be hundreds of tracks in this game's soundtrack, as you get a seamless transition between field music and combat music. And it's not just like, oh, now the combat music is playing. These are combat versions of the songs. As you're going around Cosmo Canyon, you'll tune your ears into the lovely tones of the main theme of Final Fantasy VII. Then, as combat unfurls, you'll burst into a pumping rendition of the song, those all too familiar motifs leaking through. The music is something you'll keep noticing throughout, in a good way. Video game music has become pretty good lately, but it still rarely stands out that much. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has music that wants to be listened to. It was something I kept noticing throughout my playthrough. Yes, there is the argument to be made that I've spent the last 25 years of my life listening to the original soundtrack. So all you have to do is play about 3 notes in a row and I'll be sobbing. Why? But the point is that this soundtrack is rad, it's epic, it's emotional, and most importantly, incredibly silly at times. Whether it's the weird music used exclusively in this one frog minigame moment, or the driving techno of a dog escort mission that appears just twice in the entire game. Or I don't know, Kyrie's silly advert song.
There's a new work in town. She's like the best of the best around.
It's so goofy and they work their way into your brain like a delicious parasitical wasp. Bow wow wow, bow wow wow. You are hunting down Sephiroth, except it's just not as simple as simply looking out your window and there he is, go get him. Wait, there he is, he was just hanging out in a swamp.
Over there. It's Sephiroth.
I don't see Sephiroth. Do you?
No, I don't.
Oh, I guess it was Sephiroth. Chasing after Sephiroth is going to be difficult, given that the last time you saw him, it wasn't even him. It was like a dream or something? Ghosts? Anyway, Cloud and the gang are on the run from Shinra, hiding out in Calm, which doesn't stay calm for long. You travel the land, following the robed figures who give little away beyond their general moans and groans. The Avalanche crew basically act as babysitters throughout the journey, with the Wraiths getting into near comical levels of shenanigans.
Those guys with you too?
Where'd they come from?
All the while, Cloud begins to get a variety of headaches and starts just acting strange, leaving everyone else concerned at his occasional moments of lashing out. This journey of chasing the man in black takes us all over the land, and even involves enlisting the help of a dolphin. No, seriously.
Nice going, man!
Some things maybe only made sense in the 90s. Each chapter takes you through an area from the original. Calm, the Mithril Mine, Under Junon, Junon, the boat, and so on and so on and so on. They're each expanded upon quite significantly, not just in length of hours of play, but also just in engagement and style. Calm was a tiny stopping point just to hear about all the fire and death of Cloud's past. Gongaga was an entirely optional area you could easily miss, being little more than a single optional scene. But now, it's a chapter in its entirety.
You alright?
Well, 3 of us are!
The actual story beats are bigger and more involved, but without necessarily feeling like they've been overly padded out with fluff.
If I may, sir. We've heard rumors that there are others in league with the terrorists. Conspirators in stolen uniforms. Midgard's 7th Infantry never leaves a man behind.
Sure, some of that involves an entire boat trip that's now a card tournament, or you spend an awful lot of time in Costa del Sol trying to get swimsuits.
Look at these two, not even trying to blend in, honestly.
Did you miss us?
Cloud? Something wrong?
No, nothing.
It's fine though, robots attack on the beach. See, we had to be here in our swimsuits. It's not just fan service. Despite how it may seem and how much I'm struggling to even say what the story is, there are incredibly gripping and compelling moments within this game. The characters are great and engaging, held together by their incredible performances by the voice actors.
With hazard pay, I'd say this is fair.
And there are several scenes that left me an emotional wreck. Heck, there's an entire sequence towards the end that's just a total gut
Isn't there something else more important?
The point is that while initially the story seems to be very simple, it's chasing Sephiroth, everything between the start and reaching that end goal is wonderfully character-driven. The world is filled with so much character, and like Barrett. Oh my god, Barrett is just great in this.
Gonna need you to clap for the both of us.
He's the heart of the team, and that is handled in spades in this game. Whether it's a devastatingly emotional date scene through Gold Saucer,
That ain't no way to live. You gotta just go for it sometimes.
that I somehow found myself on and did not regret, or when he tells you about his incredibly sad and tragic backstory, it's just quite emotional.
Shinra came rolling into town. Burned everything. Innocent people in their homes.
Okay, so that sort of tonal shift is in the original game. You go from North Coral to the big fun time in the sky. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has a bit of a constant tonal shift problem. One moment you're hearing about how awful things are, the next you're in an amusement park. One moment you're talking to a fishing community that almost mirrors Midgar in their own terror at never seeing the sky. The next you're riding on the back of a dolphin doing tricks. I know that these examples were present within the original, but things feel stranger here just by how much more weight they're given. The open world and the vast quantity of side activities and side quests means that you can go from a near-death experience in the Gongaga reactor, a deathmatch with hordes of Shinra soldiers, to, well, I think we're luring chickens with a tin can in the world's most infuriating minigame. This isn't a case of serious business story moments thrown off kilter by silly side quests, but there are still times where things just feel strange. This also isn't aided by the potentially high amount of downtime between each major story beat. You may have forgotten what you were really doing or the importance of your mission, because you spent about 5 hours running around bouncing on mushrooms, clearing out the area of Gongaga of just about anything and everything that looks like it could be an objective.
Were we doing something?
Sephiroth. These moments of emotional whiplash are sort of self-introduced. You choose to pick mushrooms instead of saving the planet. But the game very much wants you to do this. The game wants you to drop everything and play card games at the drop of a hat.
You hear her too. Time's running out.
Speaking of, it's not just the story beats that have a tonal whiplash, but also the general setting. In the original, the world felt miserable. It was bleak. Everything was a bit sad as the map went and played sad music at you. Towns were sparse, mostly due to the limitations of the PS1, but they were clearly meant to be sad places. Now, well, they're brimming with life. Calm is this massive town now that feels like it could be the setting of a video game in of itself. There are people laughing in the street, a bustling marketplace, a lady playing jazz trumpet. The boat from Junon was originally a military barge, purely industrial and imperialistic. Now it's a pleasure cruise with a card game tournament. We go from a terrible horror on that boat to fun in the sun in Costa del Sol. And just not mentioning any of the things we saw. Again, this happened in the original, but the original was also a sprint through some of these areas in a hot pursuit. Well, now they're a genuine stop on your journey, beach bods and all. Your time in Gongaga is started with a visit to a memorial of all the people that died in a terrible reactor explosion. But then the entire town is filled with people living their happy mushroom lives. There's a full-on band just tootling away at all times. Why aren't you sad? You live in the shadow of capitalistic neglect. But the worst part of tonal whiplash in the entire game, the biggest crime in the entire thing, the Moogle houses. Oh, cute. I love Moogles, you may think. I've got a tattoo of a Moogle, you might say. Oh, it's on the upper side of my left arm, I hear you continue. Then you open that door.
Welcome to our Moogle Emporium.
What hell is this? I wanted a cute cat fairy, not some hellish koala with real teeth and eyes. What cruel hell must we bear witness to? God is dead, and we have been left in the hell of reality. While the game may have gone for a slightly different tone overall, this does also mean that it has ample space to lean heavily into the characters just vibing. This game is filled with moments of dumb fun that just make you fall in love with the gang. Sure, you have the silliness of hanging out at Costa del Sol and everything that entails, from bikini-clad adventures to Barrett in a sailor suit, but at the same time, you've got loads of character-filled moments that'll just make you smile. The repeated goofball antics of Yuffie and Kate Sith are incredible, and actually made me really like Kate Sith as a character.
For a moment there, it felt like we were friends.
Aerith continues to be a bit of a weirdo at all times, and returning side characters are also great, like the world's horniest motorcyclist,
Besides, you and I like to go big.
and the world's worst mercenary.
Come on, don't be petty. Oh, I'll even give you some of these.
There are so many side activities and mini games and hijinks to get up to that you'll be thrilled with just how much space everyone is given to be goofy dorks. Even Cloud, the traditionally po-faced mopey boy, can't help but be surprised when he's an actual frog.
Ribbit, ribbit.
Ribbit.
Or better yet, getting worked up in the Junon military parade, a sequence and series of events that made me so emotional just by how incredibly amazing it was.
Captain, the parade's about to start.
Don't want to be late, sir.
Of course.
All of it, just absolutely all of it, from start to finish.
Final sequence. Begin.
For a story that is meant to be quite bleak and filled with despair, the dread of a dying planet, the horrors of loss, and the struggles of identity, these moments of fun and silliness may seem a bit jarring, but also act to help build all these characters into multi-dimensional, lovable people. Their sadness is more profound when you've also seen them have each other's backs in the strangest of scenarios. I would say that this is the biggest strength of the game. You'll almost never know what new level of weirdness you'll come across, and every turn reveals a whole new delight.
Ooh.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.
This is a game that will put a smile on your face all of the time. You just have so much fun. Sephiroth? Even Chadley becomes a bit more enjoyable with his constant interruptions, now that he gets a taste of his own medicine through Mai, his assistant focused on combat assistance, whom he hates. The combat is just really interesting and invites you to experiment. Every character feels unique and interesting in how they play, with Red 13 being this quick-clawed, area of effect attacking individual based on losing health to unleash vengeance. Kate Sith summons his big Moogle robot and has a variety of strange luck-based attacks, or just bops people with his megaphone. There are moments throughout the game where you are given direct control of each character, and they don't feel like a punishment, pulling you away from the familiar, well-established attack patterns of Cloud, which would normally leave you feeling muted and ineffective. Instead, they feel powerful, thought out, and like they actually work. Except Aerith. Unfortunately, our delightful ancient plays a very different game to the rest of our team. She is slow, weak, and ineffective, and just all around going to lead to a bad time. The few moments that you're limited to just her in combat feel more like a punishment than an invitation to explore the game's systems. This is a shame because, as I said earlier, for all those big synergy abilities to take off, you will probably have to take direct control of Aerith from time to time, and I don't know, just hope you can wrangle enough ATB out of her quick enough that you don't snap your controller in half. Speaking of, while the big flashy synergy abilities are really cool and feel like something to work towards in combat, these synergy skills, which are quick skills that you can pull off with the aid of an ally, are lacking. They're cool enough, but become one too many menus to think about, as well as each having some form of unique input that is too much to discern in the throes of combat. You'll use them once and then promptly eject any and all knowledge of them from your brain. The Meteoric system continues to be really interesting and cool, and gives you options that address your party members not doing anything without issuing commands. Just great. And you can get hunkered down in the depth of a menu as you try and work out how best to hook up materia together for great effect. Speaking of menus, oh no! I kind of hate the weapon leveling up and folio system. Hooray! Weapons almost feel like a step in reverse. You're no longer manually leveling things up bit by bit, which may have been annoying, but now it all just happens in the background. This entire menu? Never looked at it, not even once. The folio system feels like it could be a really interesting level up system, limited by when you can find a checkpoint to level up at, and you end up choosing which upgrades you want and getting various ways to augment your character. But in reality, you'll forget about this menu until you come by and dump a load of points in it, almost focusing exclusively on unlocking any synergy ability you can get your mitts on. For as much as I think the combat and action elements of this game remain strong, and if anything, have become stronger, the traditional RPG elements, the menu systems, the numbers, the item crafting, all feel a bit weak and not really relevant. It feels like it's trying to achieve something greater, but just falling a bit short. It just feels like... Reunion. Reunion. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth constantly feels like it is trying to be more than it is, from the way the systems begin to bloat and feel like a disused appendage, to the continuation of the new story elements. What Rebirth does with the story of Final Fantasy VII is a little wacky. You'll remember the ghosts and whispers from Remake that led to everyone feeling really confused about just about everything? Well, they're still here! There is an element of anime nonsense at play that makes me wonder if anyone who hasn't played the original has any clue as to what's going on at times. It is the Kingdom Heartsification of a story. Rebirth begins to dip its toes in multiverse weirdness that ultimately feels muddied and confusing. It feels like it's trying to be a one-to-one remake of the original game, making sure to hit important story beats almost verbatim, or the dolphin.
Nice going, man!
But then we'll spend a good long while suddenly changing elements that felt like they didn't need to be changed. This begins to make the game not so much feel like a remake as it does make the game feel like a sequel series to the original experience. It is almost a thesis on the ideas of the original, expecting you to know the story inside out to further explore aspects of that story. This is highlighted most by the way the story is keen to try and almost spoil every notable moment in the original before it even happens. The Zack being given a face and presence just shows how hungry the developers are to make you question what's going on here.
Run away.
I wonder what it could mean. For all of the climax of Remake about creating a new story in this world, the game title being literally called Rebirth, it feels permanently clipped by still trying to be a reproduction of the original, just more fleshed out at times. Some of these are really good, like showing Cloud being a little freak more, giving a better building to the idea that something isn't quite right with that boy. But by swinging between the new and the old so fervently, it isn't half confusing at times. This doesn't reduce how epic the game and climax feel, and some of these scenes and elements that are built up more are just great. The Temple of the Ancients, great, emotional. But at the same time, the Forgotten City, the famous scenes that are the climax of this game, I wanted them to destroy me emotionally. I wanted to be despondent. I want to be phoning in sick the next day of work, or get put on compassionate leave by how heartbroken I am. Instead, I was just confused and muddled. There's also something to be said about size here as well. The original Final Fantasy VII clocks in at about 40 to 50 hours. Rebirth took me 100 hours? Goodness, maybe I should have spent less time picking mushrooms. My point is that as you turn a 50-hour game into what, a 300-hour experience, things will get lost. Meanings and finesse slip behind bloat and the need to alter. Final Fantasy games used to come out every 2 years. It's likely that Square-Enix are going to end up spending 15 years of our mortal lives remaking one game. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is an incredible game. Despite my gripes, it is full of joy throughout that keeps you going back.
All shall be revealed, O puppet of fate. So dance while you still have time. Dance till your frayed strings break, and you can dance no more.
It's filled with solid combat and various bosses and enemies that get you to fully engage in that combat, using your whole host of abilities and party members. There are countless scenes and elements that'll either have you filled with joy or gripped in sadness. It is frankly an incredible game. Some have complained that there are just too many minigames, but that's in keeping with the spirit of the original. So many throwaway moments that popped up for a single second to never appear again. Sure, there probably didn't need to be an extensive minigame for picking mushrooms that appears once in the entire game, but the fact there is feels great. You could possibly find yourself bogged down with all of these minigames and side activities and all sorts of bits and pieces, but for a game that consumed 100 hours of my life, I only began to notice this slowdown 80 hours in, once RoboChat had turned up with yet another game for me to play. Or maybe it was the quest that involved following the slowest moving NPCs. This is a monumental experience with a massive world ready for you to sink your teeth into. Where previously that has caused great consternation, Rebirth manages to stay just small enough, just contained enough that it doesn't overstretch itself, keeping a focus on the wonderful characters that have gone down in history for a good reason. It does wonders in expanding on the world, the setting and establishing those themes of environmentalism, loss, and death. And while it does wonders in portraying Cloud's sense of self being muddled, ironically, the constant flip-flopping between new ideas and keeping to the old one does end up giving this game a bit of a lasting sense of an identity crisis. Oh, hello there! Thank you for watching my video. It was about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It took ages to make because the game took like 100 hours to play and everything went wrong. So if you liked my video, please let me know by leaving a comment in the comment section, or maybe even liking the video, maybe even sharing it. Who knows what you can do these days? I've been away for goodness knows how long, for a variety of reasons. I filmed a video, didn't have audio, then Final Fantasy came out, and then I have a cat, and he's always in the way, and it's just been a bit bad. But hopefully I should have videos coming out soon. I'm back on the wagon, back at it again, back once again with the Renegade Master. So yeah, cool. If you have any thoughts about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, let me know in the comment section, all that jazz. I'm coming back. It's all coming back now. You best watch yourself. Also, this is super scuffed because everything's gone wrong. Just everything's gone wrong. If you want, you can click over here and there'll be a video about probably Final Fantasy VII Integrate the DLC. It's fine. Or click down here for a video about something else. I can't remember, possibly a board game. I think it might have been a video game though. Who knows? Otherwise you can click on my face where there's a face orb to subscribe or whatever. Thank you, goodbye, and see you sooner than 5 months.